Welcome everyone to our Landlord Lunch and Learn series presented by the Landlord Self-Help Center. This is webinar number 1 of 3 of the series proposed for this spring. The rest of the series is scheduled for May 10th, which will cover what happens after you file the notice of hearing and how to prepare for the hearing. And on June 14th, and we will cover a topic that it's called Hearing Date and the Order, what to expect. My name is Diana Padierna, and today I'll be joined by Natalia Debsky and Ender Joseph, all licensed paralegals employed with the Landlord Self-Help Center. Please note that even though we are the Landlord Self-Help Center, we believe this information will be beneficial to both landlords and tenants. You can also visit our website at www.landlordselfhelp.com, where you will find numerous resources such as fact sheets, FAQs, modules, presentations, etc. Our website also contains information on how to contact us by phone, email, and in person. We will start today's webinar by showing an introduction video on who we are at the Landlord Self-Help Center and what services we provide. We will then have an overview of the Landlord Tenant Board, and then we will provide you with a brief overview as well of how to use the Tribunals Ontario Portal. This will take about 25 minutes in total. We will then have ample time for our Q&A period, where you will have an opportunity to ask questions pertaining to this webinar. So now I'm just going to play our introduction video. Just give me 1 second. Welcome to the Landlord Self-Help Center introduction video. The purpose of this video is to introduce you to the center, our history and mandate, our services, and community development. The Landlord Self-Help Center has existed since 1975 and was incorporated in 1977. It is a non-profit community legal clinic funded by Legal Aid Ontario that operates with the mandate to support the landlord community. According to our criteria, small landlords are those who live within the same property where the rental unit is located and offer up to 3 rental units in a basement, duplex, triplex, or fourplex. The center operates with 5 full-time staff and is governed by a 10-member board of directors. We are unique. The Landlord Self-Help Center is the only legal aid funded clinic meant to provide services exclusively to small landlords. However, we are restricted to providing summary advice and brief services. The center educates and informs small landlords across Ontario. We help them learn and understand their rights and responsibilities as housing providers to ensure they are equipped to navigate the legal system pertaining to this area of law. Ideally, we try to educate the public before they become landlords. Most of the time, we find ourselves educating landlords about their rights and obligations when dealing with existing tenants. Approximately 80% of our resources are dedicated to providing client-facing frontline services. The majority of those services are in the form of summary advice and brief services. We may provide further services if the client meets our financial eligibility test, but it is difficult to meet as most landlords own property. Eligibility guidelines are not applied when providing summary advice and brief services. As you may know, Ontario tenants are very well supported and represented by both the landlord and tenant legislation, the Residential Tenancies Act, and by Ontario's legal aid system. A tenant can go online, call or email the Landlord Tenant Board, a legal aid clinic, or in Toronto, a housing help center, and get almost immediate help with their housing-related problem. In Ontario, there are 76 legal aid-funded community legal clinics. In Toronto alone, There are 14 general service community legal clinics dealing with landlord and tenant law, immigration, social assistance, and workers' rights. In addition, there are 17 specialty community legal clinics that either deal with a specific area of law, such as workers' compensation, workers' health and safety, or represent a specific ethno-linguistic community. The Landlord Self-Help Center is one of these specialty clinics. Then there's the Landlord Tenant Board, which provides basic information to landlords and tenants through their website and by telephone. For the most part, where matters are not straightforward, they will refer the tenant to a legal clinic and a landlord to the Landlord Self-Help Center or to the Law Society for the referral service. The Landlord Self-Help Center helps small landlords with a full range of issues related to renting, from providing information we call Before You Rent, which includes everything a new landlord should know prior to committing to a tenancy agreement, to the eviction and collection process, and everything that you could imagine in between. Our services are focused on advising the small landlord community. In addition to advising walk-in clients, responding to email inquiries, and developing educational materials, we provide summary legal advice to over 70 clients over the phone each day. Out of the issues we assist clients with, termination and eviction related issues are the most frequent, with about 64%. This covers non-payment of rent, disturbances, landlord's own use, agreement to terminate, or notice from a tenant, and damages. It is also comprised of issues including safety, late payment, illegal act, overcrowding, and various combinations of the above. We also advise on repairs, rent increase, rent decrease, rent rebate, illegal rent increase, before you rent, entry rules, assignment and subletting, collections, and human rights. Typically, the Landlord Self-Help Center helps between 10,000 and 11,000 clients per year. We also have access to a multi-language translation service, which is a useful tool in breaking down language barriers when explaining sometimes complex legal issues to our clients. Due to our limited human resources, we do not assist with above guideline rent increase applications, mobile home or trailer park issues, care home issues, commercial tenancy matters, head tenants, where a tenant who accepts rent in exchange for renting out a part of their unit to someone else cannot receive advice from a tenant clinic due to conflict of interest guidelines, nor can they get our help because they are not property owners. We mainly provide summary advice. We do not provide legal representation. For client issues that the Landlord Self-Help Center cannot assist with, we refer the client to the Law Society Referral Service, JusticeNet, Community Legal Education Ontario, the Tenant Hotline, and others. The Landlord Self-Help Center's website is designed as a learning tool and serves as the first point of contact for many inquiries. The new website contains general information on diverse Residential Tenancies Act topics and issues commonly encountered by our landlord community. It also has frequently asked questions built from questions and answers from interactions with our clients, podcasts, information for landlords in audio format, and other tools. In addition to the website, we also maintain Twitter and Facebook accounts. The Landlord Self-Help Center involves itself in lobbying for legislative and procedural reform, which will benefit the small landlord community in Ontario. Lobby efforts are completed in the form of letters, submissions, participation, and consultation opportunities, or petitions. We often engage our client community through the use of an online survey to gather input and feedback on particular issues to assist in our law reform efforts. In addition to participating in law reform and community development activities, The Landlord Self-Help Center provides information, referrals, and summary advice, develops educational materials, and delivers outreach programs. Some of our learning tools include RTA fact sheets, quarterly newsletter, which is sent to our members 4 times a year and includes information about important legislative changes, relevant news stories, self-help tips, and a Q&A section. This is also available on the Landlord Self-Help Center's website. We offer a membership program which includes a subscription to the quarterly newsletter and access to the private members area of the website, where rental tools including the Landlord Self-Help Center additional terms to include in the standard form of lease drafted by the Government of Ontario, rental applications, inspection reports, and notices to enter can be downloaded. The membership currently stands at 4,132 members. This includes yearly and lifetime memberships. The dues are $99 for 1 year. We no longer offer lifetime memberships, but still honor the current ones. Through our outreach, we partner with many other organizations, including the Landlord Tenant Board, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Rental Housing Enforcement Unit, the Insurance Bureau of Canada, the Toronto Fire Services, and others, many of which attend our annual general meeting and landlord learning and networking forum each year. Thank you for watching this introduction video. We look forward to assist you. Thank you for watching our introduction video. We will now learn about the Landlord Tenant Board and what they do. Please remember that we will be answering your questions shared through the chat during our Q&A period at the end.
Before we continue, we would like to ask you to participate in a brief poll today. I would be sharing that with you now. Thank you. We'll allow 5 more seconds. Thank you. Poll's now closed.
Thank you, Andrew. So yeah, now I will proceed to share the LTB overview presentation. Welcome to the Landlord Lunch and Learn series presented by the Landlord Self-Help Center. In this webinar, we will talk about the Landlord Tenant Board, applications that can be filed with the board, and how to apply through the Tribunals Ontario Portal. The information offered in this webinar is intended as general information. It is not legal advice. In Ontario, the Residential Tenancies Act 2006 is the provincial law that governs most residential rental agreements. It defines the rights and responsibilities for both landlords and tenants. The Landlord and Tenant Board is an administrative tribunal established under the Residential Tenancies Act. As we know, there are disputes that may arise between landlords and tenants. Therefore, the purpose of the Landlord and Tenant Board is to assist in resolving these disputes by way of mediation or adjudication. Employed within the Landlord and Tenant Board are various staff members. There are customer service officers who are responsible for processing applications, scheduling hearings, and providing general information to the public. It is important to note that the customer service officers do not provide legal advice to the public. They are only there to provide legal general information regarding the Residential Tenancies Act. There are also dispute resolution officers that are able to help landlords and tenants resolve their application by way of mediating an agreement. A member of the Landlord and Tenant Board, often called an adjudicator, is responsible for holding the hearings and making rendering decisions. At a hearing, a member listens to both the applicants and respondents, along with the evidence and relevant information that is presented before them. The member is responsible for drafting the final order, which includes the final decision of the hearing. There are various applications that could be heard at the Landlord and Tenant Board. Some examples are non-payment of rent, non-payment of utilities, damages to the rental property, safety concerns in the rental unit, interfering with the reasonable enjoyment or lawful rights, landlord taking back the rental unit for personal use, and the rental property has sold and the purchaser will be residing in the rental unit. Other applications that may be heard are application to end a tenancy, tenant gave notice or agreed to terminate the tenancy, application to end a tenancy and evict a tenant because the tenant failed to meet conditions of a settlement or order, application because the tenant changed the locks, and an application to collect money a former tenant owes. How are these applications heard at the Landlord and Tenant Board? Virtually. Hearings at the Landlord and Tenant Board are heard virtually through Zoom. By telephone. You may also call into your Landlord and Tenant Board hearing with the telephone number that is provided to you on your Notice of Hearing package. In writing. In this type of hearings, parties file a written explanation of their position and supporting documentation. Written hearings are most commonly used to decide applications for above guideline increase and applications to vary the amount of a rent reduction. And in person, this is subject to accommodation approved by the Landlord and Tenant Board. In order to be able to obtain a hearing date and time, an application must have been filed with the Landlord and Tenant Board first. For most applications, you first need to serve a tenant with a notice such as an N4, N5, N7, N12, etc. Depending on the type of notice that was served, you will have to wait the correct amount of days before you can file an application. For example, N4 notice, you must wait until after the termination date to file the L1 application. Or once an N12 notice is served, you can file the L2 application immediately. You may file these applications through the Tribunals Ontario Portal. We strongly advise landlords to file through the portal as applications get processed faster according to the Landlord and Tenant Board. According to the Landlord and Tenant Board website, the Tribunals Ontario Portal is the new case management system that is transforming how users engage with the Landlord and Tenant Board. The portal was created December 2021 in an effort to streamline the dispute resolution process by allowing applications to be filed, processed, and scheduled online. The portal allows both landlord and tenant to file applications online and is accessible to both parties. Landlords can file the following applications through the portal: L1, L2, L3, L4, L9, L10. If you're a tenant, please visit the Landlord and Tenant Board website for a list of applications that can be filed on the portal. Please note that all landlord applications will start with an L and tenant applications will start with a T. In addition to filing applications in the portal, you can also speak to opposing parties on a mutual platform and/or get early resolution with the help of a mediator, amend an application, request an adjournment, or withdraw an application, view opposing party applications filed against you, and submit evidence. Note that there's still the option to mail applications to the Landlord and Tenant Board, but because their offices are close to in-person services, filing on the portal will be the fastest way to file. Since the introduction of the portal, the Landlord Self-Help Center has received numerous calls from clients inquiring about how to navigate the portal. So today, we will be taking a deeper look into this topic. First, you'll need to create an account on the Landlord and Tenant Board website in order to access the portal. Thank you so much for watching that video. So before we proceed to play the next video about navigating the portal, think Ender, you want to share something?
Yes, if you don't mind taking a couple of seconds just to complete our second poll, that would be greatly appreciated. It would appear on your screen now. We'll allow 5 more seconds. Poll's now closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ender. So yeah, like I said, we will now be watching a video on how to navigate the portal. And another reminder that if you're sharing any questions in the chat, we will be addressing any questions pertaining to the webinar at the end during our Q&A period. And in any other questions that are not pertaining to the webinar, we will invite you to contact us so we can address the questions one-to-one. Welcome to the Landlord Self-Help Center demonstration of how to navigate the Tribunals Ontario Portal. First, you have to visit the Landlord Tenant Board website and go to the main page, which looks like this. Once you're there, you have to click on Tribunals Ontario Portal. You will then see another page that pops up, and you have to click on Start. There will be another page that will pop up. Since I'm already logged into my account, it's showing me my account, but if you don't have an account, then it will give you an opportunity to create one, and you have to use your email address and your password. If you already created one, then you will be asked to sign in, and it looks like this once you're logged into your account. If you just created a new account, you may be sent a verification email that you have to click to activate your account. Please note that this activation link is only valid for 1 hour. After you have successfully created an account, you will see this page. There will be an option to view existing applications, create a new application, or link a file to your account. The option for the latter will be available if an opposing party has filed an application against you. So here we see the options to create a file or link my account to a file. If you arrived on the portal due to a notification that an application has been filed against you, you will be provided with a file number and a PIN in the notice of hearing package that you received. Once you have that file number and PIN, you have to click on Link My Account to a file. You have to enter the file number here and the PIN number, and then submit. You should be able to view the application file against you with all the details and/or claims made by the other party. Please remember that, as previously mentioned, the portal provides the opportunity to address the issues with the other party and possibly come to an early resolution with the help of a mediator and without a hearing. If you're filing an application, you have to click on Create a New File. And then you have to choose from the options available. In this case, we're going to select Landlord and click on Start Application. It will take you to this page then. You will be expected to include the pertaining notice, certificate of service if applicable, and any other relevant documents that you wish to file. Ensure that your notice is correct and populated with correct termination date before proceeding. For detailed videos on how to complete these notices and other information, please visit our website at landlordselfhelp.com. A defective notice will result in dismissal of your application, forcing you to restart the entire process. Unlike notices, an application can be amended through the portal and may not result in a dismissal. Note, when filing a new application, it is always important to have a pertaining documentation uploaded before starting a file in the portal. In this case, we're going to select L1 application, and you will get a chance to review the information pertaining to your N4. So you would have to select the tenants, all the tenants to be listed in this application, the certificate of service, that you gave a digital copy of the notice to in the tenancy, and the certificate of service ready to upload. Please read the sentences carefully. Then you have to select if you have a daily or a monthly tenancy. It will ask you how you serve the notice to the other party. We're going to select handing the document to the tenant, and then you're able to click on Next. It will then take you to this page. Please read all the information carefully. You need to then click on I confirm that all applicants are aware of the Tribunals Ontario's access to records policy, and then you have to click on Start Application. It will then take you to this page where you have to enter your rental unit address, your information, your representative if you have one, request for accommodation. So as previously mentioned, ensure that you have all the pertaining documents uploaded before you start your application. You cannot upload these documents as one bulk PDF file, so properly label and save them individually on your device in PDF format. After completing your application, uploading the relevant documents, and paying the filing fee, you will receive a confirmation email from the Landlord Tenant Board. This will acknowledge that your application was received and provide you with a file number. This file number should be identified if contacting the Landlord Tenant Board at any time. Once the application is filed, it will reflect as submitted in the portal. After your application has been processed by the Landlord Tenant Board, your file status will change to be scheduled. Only when a hearing is scheduled will this status change, and it will say hearing scheduled. It is advised to periodically check the status of your file on the portal to ensure that your matter has not been scheduled without notice to you. Both parties will receive a notice of hearing package from the Landlord and Tenant Board once the matter is scheduled. As you file the application on the portal, you will receive a notice of hearing package by email if you included your email. If you included the email of the opposing party, they will also receive the notice of hearing package by email. If an email for the opposing party was not included in your application, they will receive a notification from the Landlord and Tenant Board by mail. Just like any other online forum, the Landlord and Tenant Board portal is not without its challenges, be it inability to sign in or error messages. It is good practice to save your password in a secure location or memorize it. When facing continuous issues, however, it is best to contact the Landlord Tenant Board directly, by telephone or by email. Thank you so much for watching, and we will now answer your questions pertaining to this presentation. So give me one sec. So are Ender and Natalia ready to respond to the questions from our audience?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Okay, so question number 1, I'll direct it to Natalia. Okay, so one of our clients is asking, are applicants, required to proactively notify the Landlord and Tenant Board if they do not wish to create an account or use a portal, and instead prefer to receive documents and communications by mail, paper? If this is possible, how do they do this? How can they do it?
Thank you for your question. Yes, so you can select that option upon filing that you wish to receive the notifications and any notices from the board via mail. If you would like to confirm that that will be the case, you can also email the Landlord and Tenant Board directly. Their email address, if anybody wants to jot down, it's ltb@ontario.ca. And you can kindly advise that you prefer to be in receipt of any documentations and communications by mail, and just ensure that you're providing the correct address so the documents do end up at the correct place.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Okay, so we have another question. So one of our clients is asking, my tenant told me that he filed an application against me, but I am not sure if this is true. How do I find out if he actually filed anything? Ender, would you like to answer this question?
Yes, most definitely. So once an application has been filed against you, you would receive notification from the Landlord and Tenant Board. If in the absence of that, you can assume that nothing has been filed as yet. There wouldn't be any way that you can check, given that you don't have a file number. If you remember in the presentation, it was mentioned that when you're contacting the Landlord and Tenant Board, you should identify, by file number. So if you don't have that information, the Landlord and Tenant Board would not be able to provide you with any update or anything. So again, once an application has been filed against you, you will receive notification either by email or by mail.
Thank you so much, Ender. Okay, so the next question says, can I get to the Tribunals Ontario Portal through the Landlord and Tenant Board website? Natalia, can you answer that question, please?
Yes, you absolutely may. So you go to the main Landlord and Tenant Board website, and then there is an icon that says Tribunals Ontario Portal. You select that, and it'll bring you to a separate link to go to the portal. In the absence of going through the website, the Landlord and Tenant Board website, you can just simply go on Google, type in Landlord and Tenant Board Portal, and it will populate for you that way as well.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Okay, so we have another question, and it says, I am not very tech savvy. I would like my daughter or my son to help me file through the Landlord and Tenant Board portal. Would they be able to assist me with filing my documentation through the portal?
They
Ender?
can absolutely, yes, they can absolutely do that for you. As a matter of fact, they can actually use their email address if you don't have one to create an account for you. Again, you're the landlord, so your name would be listed as landlord, but it just means that they would be able to receive any notification from the board, and they would be able to communicate that to you. So anyone can help you. Again, as legal representatives, we do that for clients. Well, paralegals practicing. So that's definitely an option that someone can help you, whether it's a family member or a legal representative can file documents on your behalf. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ender. I guess this next question is kind of related to that one. One client is asking, once they create an account and they have filed an application against their tenant, they're asking if they have to keep checking their file status through their account once they have created it with the Tribunals Ontario Portal. I don't know if Ender, do you want to take a shot? Okay.
I can follow up. Yes, so you will definitely, it's expected that you receive notification from the Landlord and Tenant Board via email if there's a status change, but we do advise that you from time to time check on the portal, check the status, because we have heard of instances where a hearing was scheduled, and again, you know, it's technology, there are glitches sometimes, as we are aware, and so there have been cases where a hearing has been scheduled and parties has not been notified. So we definitely encourage you, in addition to keeping an eye on your emails, to definitely go into the portal from time to time and check the status there as well.
Thank you so much, Ender. And yeah, I think that's an important reminder to everyone that the Landlord and Tenant Board just launched this, the Tribunals Ontario Portal not too long ago. I think it was December 2021. So it's fairly new and they're still working on it to improve it. So yeah, I know it's not the most ideal for users, but yeah, there are, you know, some glitches bound to happen. So yeah, I have another question from the audience. Maybe Natalia can assist me with answering this. Somebody's asking, can I file both L1 and L2 applications together through the Tribunals Ontario Portal?
Yes, you may file the two applications together through the portal for that filing fee for one application, as long as you're filing them together.
Okay. Yeah, that actually ties in with another question that somebody asked. So the client is specifically asking if they can file the L1 and the L2 application together, would they have to pay one filing fee or two filing fees?
Yes, so just redirecting, as long as they're filed at the same time simultaneously, then they will be honored one filing fee for the two applications.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Okay, so I have another question. One of the clients is asking, how do I pay for an application through the Tribunals Ontario Portal? Ender, maybe you can answer that question, please.
Yes, sure. So a credit card will be required. I do believe they accept Interact as well, but credit card would be the easiest way to do so. So after you've completed, if you remember the portal video that was shown earlier, after you've completed all the steps, inputted all your information, uploaded your documents, the final page would take you to a payment page. You would have to complete that page, and after you press submit, your application would be processed. And the way you know that it was processed and that your credit card or method of payment was processed is that you will receive email confirmation that this was done. So you will have an opportunity to do that after you've completed the application on the portal. Thanks.
Thank you, Ender. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that that was something that we talked about during the video. So just so everyone knows, the video will be available. So don't worry if you don't remember seeing that, you will be able to review the video later on. Okay, so I have another question from the audience. Somebody said, you mentioned in the video that I should upload documents individually on the portal. Can you elaborate on this? Natalia, would you like to answer that, please?
Absolutely. Yeah, so referring back to that, you want to ensure that you're uploading documents separately. So what that means, for example, you have, when you're filing an application, you may have an N4, for example, along with a certificate of service. You want to make sure that you're uploading those documents separately into the appropriate categories. That'll also ensure that when the LTB is in receipt of the documents, they won't miss an important document because they are uploaded individually, as opposed to, for example, attaching an N4 with the certificate of service. The certificate of service may be missed because it will look like it wasn't filed under the correct title. So you want to, just, and this goes in general for filing, make sure everything's labeled properly, it's organized, and if they're different documentation, to file them independently, just to avoid any confusion at the board level.
Okay, thank you so much, Natalia. I have another question from our audience. So somebody is asking, so yeah, they recall seeing in the video as well that if there's way too many issues happening, with like technical difficulties while going through their account, what should they do? How are they able to contact the IT department from the Landlord and Tenant Board? Maybe Ender can answer that.
Yes, and I have personal experience with this. As a matter of fact, it's happened to me quite often. So you're not alone. In the portal, there is actually a box at the top that you click on. It's a help button that generates a text box of sorts, like an email that goes directly to the IT department. In my experience, however, I've waited 2 weeks for answers and not get them. So I would say do that, ask for help via the portal, but also to send an email to the Landlord and Tenant Board, just again, letting them know what the issue is, and someone will get back to you to help you correct that. Again, the LTB email is ltb@ontario.ca.
Thank you so much, Ender. Okay, so we have another question from the audience. Somebody's asking, what's the current wait times for hearings? So yeah, this is not related, but it's more general information. So maybe Natalia can answer that, please.
Absolutely. So what we've been seeing is about a 6 to 8 month wait for hearings. However, we are seeing and we're hearing that the LTB is making extensive efforts to expedite this process. So we hopefully will be looking closer to the 4 month mark. But we have been hearing that matters have been being scheduled from 6 to 8 months, and this is just expanding on that. There is an option to file a request to shorten time to have your hearing potentially expedited. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to contact our center. We can assist you in that process. But for the wait time right now, it is about 4 to 8 months, hopefully closer to the 4 month side though.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Okay, so we have another question. Somebody is asking the following. Do I have to get consent from tenants to use their email address in my application in order to receive notifications of a proceeding against them? If I do not have their consent, but include their email anyway, will the Landlord and Tenant Board notify my tenant by mail or email? Ender, maybe you can answer that, please.
Yes. So when we speak about consent by email, we're basically referring to service of notices that would not fall under this category. So it is advisable that if you're completing an application on the portal and you do have a tenant's email address, whether it's on a lease or some sort of document, that you do include the tenant's email address. If you do that on the portal, then you will, at the same time when you receive a confirmation that you filed the application, your tenant would receive a confirmation as well, where they can go in, they'll be invited to check the portal and get information on what was filed and what to do next. So it is advisable if you do have email to include it there. However, if you do not include it or you're not comfortable including it, that's fine. What the Landlord and Tenant Board would do instead is send information or notification to the tenant by mail, and so the tenant would still get notification that way. So not to worry about that too much.
Thank you so much, Ender. I'm really loving all the questions from our audience. Thank you so much for engaging. And just remember, if you're asking something that we do not answer today, it's most likely because it's not related to this webinar. However, you can call us or visit us in our office in order to answer your questions. So somebody is asking, how do I find the online dispute resolution tool? I would like to try this avenue as a first step during my application process. Maybe Natalia can answer that, please.
Yes, so once again, there is an option on the portal after your application has been submitted to engage in the negotiations with online negotiations with your tenant. But once, as we mentioned, this is something that you would have to be able to register into once your application has been filed, and not only filed, but also submitted, meaning that it has been processed and accepted by the board. And if you have any questions regarding if there's any technical issues, as Ender mentioned, you have to contact the Landlord and Tenant Board for further information.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Somebody is asking the following. My tenant has filed multiple T2 applications. One of them from May 3rd, 2022 is listed as online negotiation. The client that sent in this question, he or she would like to know, what does this mean? So the tenant has filed along with that application 37 documents, some of them 7 pages in length. So I think it's more like technical. And yeah, what does that mean? The status in the application. Maybe Ender can answer that, please.
Yes. So is a question, it says the status says online mediation or
Online negotiation.
Negotiation. It means that something was initiated at some point via, again, it's tying into what Natalia just said. Once an application has been processed, you will have an opportunity to speak to the tenant via the online dispute resolution portal area on the portal. So what that simply means is that some conversation has been entered into that section of the portal. It would be advisable to check, log back into your account and check that section where it says dispute resolution. There would be some notes there, maybe from the mediator, or maybe it's from the tenant, but there's definitely something there that that needs your attention.
Thank you so much, Ender. I have another question. Probably we already touched a little bit on this, but I'll ask the question anyway, just to reinforce the information. So somebody is asking, if a PIN code is not given for the portal, what is the best way to get it? Natalia, maybe you can answer that, please.
Yeah, so once again, this is something that could be a delay from the LTB's end in you being in receipt of the PIN. So we just advise to send an email to the board. And this is a little bit of general information regarding emailing the board. Always ensure to include a file number if you have it, or the rental address of the property that is the applications being filed on behalf of. It'll just make it easier for the LTB staff to locate your file. But once again, when it comes to not being in receipt of the PIN, simply send an email to the Landlord and Tenant Board, and they will forward one to you. If they don't, then it could be an IT issue. Then, as Ender said, you may have to go and seek assistance from the IT department, but they should be able to provide that with you upon you sending an email to the board.
Thank you so much, Natalia. We have another question from the audience, and this it's as follows. Is there a time frame to receive a decision after a hearing? And do the decisions come through the Tribunals Ontario Portal? Ender, maybe you can answer that question, please.
Yes, right now the board is advising that it takes up to 30 days after the hearing to receive an order. We have seen, however, that is significantly delayed. We're seeing 60 days, maybe sometimes even more. So you are expected that when an order is generated, you will receive, again, if you did file via the portal, you will receive an email with a copy of that order. If there wasn't a portal of any sort, or you didn't have an email in the portal, then you would receive that via mail. I would advise, if it's past the 30-day mark, to reach out to the Landlord and Tenant Board by the email address that we mentioned earlier. Again, it's ltb.ontario.ca. Reach out to them in the subject line at this point. However, in addition to including the file number, you're also including the hearing date as to when that happened. And again, just inquire, letting them know that it's been past the 30-day mark, and just to inquire there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ender. I have another question from the audience. So it says, my client filed their own application on the portal. They are now seeking representation for the scheduled hearing. How do I gain access to their portal? Maybe Natalia can answer that, please.
Yes, so this going back to the portal presentation that we had as well. So in the video, it says you can either link the account or start a new application. So you would be able to access the information that they had filed through the portal as well.
In addition to that, I did have that experience as well. If your client has already used their PIN, because it's a one-time PIN, you won't be able to access the portal or link it to your portal because that PIN would have already been used. So you would have to definitely contact the Landlord and Tenant Board, letting them know that you're new to the case and request a new PIN. They will definitely send you a new PIN that you would use to link it to your account and go from there.
Thank you so much, Ender, for mentioning that the PIN is a one-time use. I think that's important for the audience to really consider. Okay, so I think we have one more question. So somebody is asking, when using the dispute resolution portal, the feature through the portal, how does the landlord and tenant board initiate that without a tenant email? Maybe Natalia can answer that, or Ender?
I can go. So again, the dispute resolution aspect of it can only be initiated if both parties are involved. So when the tenant, if say a landlord starts an application and the tenant did not, the landlord did not include the tenant's email, the tenant will receive a notice from the board advising them to sign up on the portal. It's only if they do that and sign up on the portal and link the account, application to their account, that you would have that option, because again, mediation can't happen with just one party. So that would only be activated or available if both parties are in fact signed up on the portal and have linked that application.
Yes, and just to add on to the great information that Ender provided with us, depending on the relationship, you could always, the tenant is going to be notified that there's an application. You can reach out to them because maybe the tenant does want to also, resolve this amicably, and they maybe will provide you with an email address, and then you could go forward from there.
Okay, thank you so much, Ender and Natalia, for answering the questions from our audience. So yeah, this has been very informative. Everyone has definitely engaged, and with all the questions, we really want to thank everyone for attending our webinar and sharing your questions with us. And as a reminder, you will receive a survey based on this webinar by email. So please fill it out because it will help us to improve our future presentations. If you came in late and someone was not able to attend our webinar today, like I said before, the recording will be available. So don't worry, you will be able to rewatch it or share it with your landlord friends or tenant friends or anyone that can benefit from this information. And we will also look forward to seeing you at our next Landlord Launch and Learn presentation, which is taking place on May 10th. And the topic is notice of hearing. So that will assist you to prepare for your hearing, what to expect, how to read the notice of hearing. So yeah, this is our wrap up. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and we will look forward to see you on May 10th.